Hey everyone, and welcome to Key Source. This episode is for homeowners who might be considering making renovations or improvements to their property this year. So, John and I are going to be discussing all of the things that you might want to consider before you start busting through walls. So, let's hit it. Hey John, how are you today?
Great, Kathy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, as I'm sure you know, and everyone else who's watching this, as soon as spring and summer get into full swing, it just seems like everyone starts dreaming about different improvements that they can make. Whether that's like as simple as like spring cleaning or decluttering or like planting their garden, or maybe some more major renovations. It's like the fog of winter just lifts and everyone wants to improve their quality of life in general. But there are a lot of things that we need to consider when we're looking at especially major renovations. And I know you've got thoughts on this, so why don't you go ahead and share just like general rules and things that everyone should be thinking about before they start making improvements?
Sure. Well, thanks, Cassie. The first question I always like people to think about is how long do you plan to live in the home? Because your time horizon is going to really inform the decisions you're going to make in terms of what investments you're going to do to improve the homes. So, short time horizon, certain things are going to be a focus, long time horizon is going to be a different focus.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And so, yeah, I bet your advice is just it's going to change depending on those time horizons. So maybe
Right.
let's break this down and go like group by group, and you can give your general advice for those homeowners. So, what about, let's say, like short term, like planning on maybe listing their home within the next 12 months? What would your advice be for those homeowners?
Sure, sure. So for people thinking about selling their home this year, beginning of next year, I would definitely say you're going to want to focus on those improvements that are going to give you the biggest return for your investment. We're more focused on equity here in this, short-term phase. So same advice as we would give our listing clients. I mean, if you have items that are broken, they need to be fixed, okay? If at all possible, that's going to help you get the most money for your house if there's repairs that need to be made. But above and beyond that, when we're talking about actual improvements, things that are more cosmetic in nature, we always start with cleaning and paint, right? Because those are the easiest, cheapest, fastest things you can do to quickly improve the value of your home, right?
Yes.
Maybe we look at flooring. That's kind of a little more on the bubble, depending on how worn it is. If it's looking pretty tired, that might be something to look at when you're getting your home ready to list. But some of the larger projects, if it seems to be functional, we may want to just sell the home as is versus doing a lot more improving at that point if we're looking at selling pretty soon.
Got it. Okay, well, great. So then what about the medium term? And I'd probably define that around 3 to 5 years that a homeowner is planning to live in the property before selling it. What would your advice be for those homeowners?
Sure. So if you're planning to be in the home for 3 to 5 years, I would certainly start looking at quality of life and what do you want out of the home? What are those improvements that can really help you enjoy the home while you're there and also add value when you go to sell? Something that comes to mind quickly would be replacement windows. Let's say you have old wood windows and storm windows and you're having a lot of trouble getting them clean. It's a two-story home, you got your extension ladder out there and it's just really a struggle, right? So
Yeah.
if you replace those windows, um, you're going to be able to enjoy them for those 3 to 5 years that you're still there. And you're also raising the value of the home.
Hmm.
It might not be the same return you would get on paint, for example, but
Hmm.
you're still going to get a good return for your money, and you're going to enjoy that benefit while you're there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well then the last group we would consider would be the long term. What would
Sure.
your advice be for them? They've like identified like this is our family home. We're gonna be here for a long time. What should they be considering?
Right. So for those people who are true long-termers, I mean, they're planning to be in the home for kind of the foreseeable future, at least 5+ years. Um, we're thinking now mostly about lifestyle and
Hmm.
affordability.
Okay.
So, what kind of improvements can I make that will benefit my lifestyle and will fit within a budget that I can afford? We're really starting to shift away now from how much exactly will I get back out of this improvement in terms of a home. We're looking now more at how much will I get out of this improvement as I live in the home. So
Mm.
that's a key difference, a key shift when we're looking at that longer time horizon. The one thing that long-term owners may want to keep in mind is that there are certain improvements that could shrink the buyer pool for their
Mhm.
property, and they may want to be cautious before they do those. So, for example, I talked to a family who was thinking about um, doing a very significant addition to their home, two-story addition. It was going to cost around $200,000. Probably would have moved the price point of the property about that much, and would have taken them from a price point that was kind of middle of the market to a price point that was at the very top of the market. So in that type of scenario, you want to be careful because suddenly now your pool of buyers is much smaller. Um,
Mm.
in-ground swimming pool, same type of thing. A lot of
Yeah.
buyers may not be comfortable with that. Maybe they have young kids and they see it as a risk for their kids. It could be they see it as a risk or a liability for other people in the neighborhood. Um,
Yeah.
they just not want the hassle of maintenance. You know what I mean? So while an in-ground pool could be a huge advantage for the people who really want one, could also
Mhm.
be a disadvantage for a significant group of people. So you want to really think about how does the improvement that I'm making have broad appeal?
Mhm.
And if you're making an improvement that has narrow appeal, you just want to understand what's going on when you're making that improvement.
Yeah, I do think that it's very possible. So ultimately, you're trying to balance like what is going to benefit me
Correct.
specifically while I live here and what is going to still keep my home the most marketable, the most appealing to the most amount of buyers. But
Right.
often those two goals can kind of compete. And a really
Mm-hmm.
simple example of this is my husband, Nate, and I, we really love bold color schemes and patterns. And,
Sure.
like
Absolutely.
we probably define ourselves as like the medium term, like probably going to sell here in
Mhm.
3 to 5 years. And so we just understand that if we make bold decisions with the design of our home, it might be something that we need to change when we get ready to sell the property. And when those two goals are competing like that, it's really just ultimately a personal decision that you just have to choose one or the other. So yeah,
Right.
well that's great. John, I really appreciate you taking the time to unpack this topic. Do you have any parting words for our viewers on renovations?
Again, I just would say focus on the things that you know that you will enjoy and appreciate the most. I mean, the dollars matter, but at the end of the day, I really feel like lifestyle is what's critical for
Mhm.
people going to enjoy as a family, or being able to entertain, whatever it is, whatever your lifestyle is, and how you can make that home yours. I think those are the ones that you're going to really be glad you made.
Okay, well, cool. So, if any of you guys watching think you would like to speak to us about your specific plans for your home and how that might affect the value of the home, anyone on our team would be happy to sit down and discuss this further with you. But for now, John, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Cassie.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all for this week's Key Source. Subscribe to our channel for more valuable content about the real estate industry, and we'll see you next time.